Badfinger asked me when I started to wake up.
Yeah, when
to
you
the
started to wake
system.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and my response was, I don't think I ever really ever fit into this system. I was born uh, sort of awakened because I never really. I was a rebel against the system from day one, from the day I was born. I never fit into it. Not in school. Uh, I never fit. I never liked this world. I never liked anything about this world. The control, the indoctrination, the brainwashing that we go through when we're, I mean, I dropped out of school at a very early age. I never fit in school. I lived somewhere else besides a classroom. I mean, just, I never fit into it.
So from the day one when they enrolled you into school, you just, physically, emotionally, psychologically,
yeah.
you never fit into this regimented society.
No, I always felt like I was going into a prison. I always felt like I was going into bondage, and I rejected that from day one. I never fit into it. I quit school, and I dropped out of school.
Well, then you have a unique perspective for some of us that have gone through 12 years of schooling and beyond, 18 years of schooling.
Sure.
And we have been indoctrinated in certain institutions, but yet we're still waking up from that. And could you comment on people like myself that maybe we have been institutionalized, we kind of have that in our psyche, but we're starting to wake up from that, break away from that. What advice would you give to us, or what's your commentary when you see that happening kind of on a massive scale? Why does it seem like when you start to break away from society, you start having more problems with functionality of your life? Like, there's, all of a sudden, here.
Well, school doesn't teach you how to think for yourself. It teaches you how to memorize things and think the thoughts that somebody else wants you to think. Because the darkness doesn't want to let you go. I mean, there's a power struggling to keep you in the matrix, to keep you tied down, to keep you locked in, to keep your eyes closed. They don't want you to see who you really are, and the true nature of reality. That this dark force does not want you to see that, and the more you begin to awaken, the stronger that force comes after you. It wants to keep you in bondage and control, whether you call that force Satan or
slavery,
the devil or slavery,
matrix,
sure, the matrix, however
tyrannical government systems.
Exactly. The more you try to break away from it, the more powerfully it strives to come after you and to keep you in its control. And it uses just about every dynasty it uses everyone in the world to keep people in bondage, whether that's the educational system. It doesn't matter that all the dynasties of the world, whether it's education or political, economic, through corporate control. I mean, look at every major
corporatism, militarism.
Look at every major dynasty in the world, and it's all to keep people in this enslavement.
Why are government institutions, international organizations, why are they so afraid of freedom? If they allow everyone to be truly free, wouldn't we have a truly dynamic international society with a lot of benefits of having freedom? I mean, isn't it the heart of capitalism, freedom, the heart of everything we've created in America, freedom? I mean, why are they so afraid to let the reins go and just let the chips fall where they may? Why do they have to are we institutionalizing our children because it's based upon an industrial model that's now becoming outdated and the internet's part of that? I mean, why is there always this source of control? It's because a few elite want that control, or what do you think? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Sure, they don't want to give up they don't want to give up the power and control. It's
because then it's a question mark what happens after that. It's kind of like letting the inmates out of the prison. You don't know what they're going to do.
It's fear, yeah. But it's also a lust for power and control. I mean, on the part of the masses, it's all about fear. Fear. It's like a junkyard dog. You keep a dog in a junkyard long enough, and that's going to become its home. That dog, you try to go let that dog out of the junkyard, and he's going to fight you viciously. Even if this is like a metaphor. let's just say the owner of the junkyard dies, and you want to go there and try to rescue that dog and take him into a place that you know is green pastures. Say you want to go drag that dog out of the junkyard and take him to a green pasture where there's sheep and cows, and he can run wild on a farm or whatever. When you go to the junkyard and you try to drag him out of there, that's all he's ever known. He's not going to want to leave. He's scared.
So
he doesn't know what's out there.
How does that act as a example of what's happening in society? What's the main way people are controlled in society today?
Through fear, through mainstream media and the fear that they project onto people. They don't know what's out there. They don't know. Change is one of the hardest things for people to change.
That's why we're having
thinking.
That's why we're having the level of awakening right now, the level of consciousness, because there is a competing entertainment source to the mainstream television. It's the internet, where instead of having a couple hundred channels, you have thousands upon thousands of alternative entertainment sources.
You have individuals that can project their consciousness into an internet versus controlled mainstream media that uses their projection to control and manipulate people's thinking. The spirit of freedom is it's a spark that sets off a forest fire, and I think that's what you have today. You have the growing spark. Every person has a spark of desire for freedom, and that's about to take off as a raging fire, and the powers that be are scared to death of that.
That's why they've demonized. Not yourself personally, but people like you that are part of, well, you don't like to call it the free man on the land or sovereign citizen.
We were born free. God gave us the right to be free. And that those freedoms were basically taken from us the minute we incarnated onto this planet. We're indoctrinated from day one.
Through a variety of means.
Even our parents unknowingly indoctrinate us into a world that is based on bondage and slavery and compliance. How you think.
Even the currency we use, a debt-based instrument that we have to use to just function society, is a form of control.
Sure, and they stymie creativity through that. The whole system stymies creativity. There's no creativity in a robot. He just does what he's told. Slavery of the Israelites wasn't just history. It's present. It's past, present, and if we don't change it, it's going to be our future.
Right.
It didn't
so
die
it's
in
history
the Old Testament.
repeating itself.
It is. The stories of the Bible repeat themselves over and over and over and over again.
So when you
It applies just as much to us today. The Pharaoh and the Egyptians and the Israelites and escaping bondage. It applies to us as much today as it did to them, if not more today than it did to them. The story, it's not really repeating itself. It never stopped. It never ended. From back in those days,
why are groups of individuals like yourself, though you seem already removed from society, why are you guys even searching to go even further to break away from society? Shouldn't you be wanting to form your own internal free society, or is that too hard to do within this context of California? Is it just easier to break away and form your own community? Or is that just a question mark?
I'm striving hard to break away from this planet.
Obviously,
it's a journey.
Consciously speak, it's a spiritual journey, and my goal is to break away from the bondage of this planet, the boundaries of. I mean, there's so much more out there. It's a huge, huge universe, and if people go inside of themselves, and if they can break free from what this world tells them reality really is, they can break free from that and go into and get out of the world. Isn't that what the Bible's all about? Isn't that what scriptures are? Isn't that what the great religions of the world tell you, to come out of the world? Like I was saying earlier, James says, do you not know, Jesus' half-brother says, do you not know that friendship with this world is enmity with God? And why is that? Because this world is all based on bondage and slavery. They tell you how to think, they tell you how to feel, they tell you when to go to the bathroom, when not to. You got to get a slip of paper to go to the bathroom. This world and just this whole system is contrary to the nature of God.
Well,
The
obviously,
nature of freedom. That we were born, our spirits were born with inalienable rights. And again, you have to always make a distinction between spirit and body, this flesh body.
It's
It's
weird
just a
how the
trap.
search for freedom always ends up kind of like with a religion and God.
Yeah.
It's just weird how you start out, because there's a whole bunch of people that are starting this search for freedom, personal freedom,
And that's why.
but it leads you to really crazy places. You would think, oh, just, hey, government, get off my back, don't tax me so much, stop forcing me to pay these fines, regulations, fees. But when you keep looking at it, it's just, it makes you question more and more of everything. It's like kind of deep, you know?
Yeah, again, go back to the Israelites and the fact that they really wanted to be in bondage. I mean,
They wanted to be in slavery.
sure, they
Well,
wanted an overlord. They wanted
to work.
Saul to be their king.
Some type of,
Let me ask you this: if you have an artist who's an incredibly talented artist, they're very creative. Let's just say you put them on an assembly line and you have them sit there all day and paint the same picture. Is that an artist?
no.
Oh, he's a slave.
It's a robot. It's a slave. Everybody should paint their own picture, not a picture that's based on what somebody else tells you you should be painting. You paint your own picture.
Well, some
Unless
people.
you agree to be a part of that, a bigger
And why
project.
would you when you have so much more power and freedom?
Because people don't naturally want to be free. Some people naturally want to be
They want to
enslaved
be
by
told
someone
what
else.
to do, and where does that
It's
come
easier.
from? It comes from fear.
Do you
Fear
think that's
to be who they
indoctrinated
are.
in, or do you think that's
Of
a natural
course, of course
tendency?
it is. It's indoctrinated since the moment you're born. Your parents begin to tell you.
That's one of the things I've been learning with Badfinger camping. I'll be like, when we first started camping out just everywhere, I'd be like, are you sure we can camp here? I
That's
kind of
what I
say
was-
that a lot, and he's really changed my point of view. He goes, that's the problem, George, the fact that you're even asking that question. We should be able to camp wherever we want if it's on public lands.
Right.
You go way out into the wilderness, make a sign up that says "Don't walk on the grass" and stick it there.
People are going to follow that.
Somebody else, some other dummy's going to walk along in 30
Yeah.
years if the sign's still there, and they're going to see this sign, "Do not walk on the grass." What are they going to do? They're going to walk on the grass, or they're going to take the sign down and bury it? Hopefully, they'll take the sign down and bury it, because those days will be ended, right?
And we notice that in the
Who are-
desert a lot. When government puts up signs not to do something, a lot of times people will take their guns and blow away the sign.
Now, here-
I find that kind of funny,
That's
actually.
their expression of the desire for freedom. Yeah.
Who's this guy?
I don't know, but he's obviously interested in our conversation.
Oh, okay.
Is he a wild dog?
No, that's someone's pet.
Come here.
He's really well fed. Now, you said you had a dog before.
I did, yeah, he was hit by a car, killed.
Oh, man.
That's too bad.
I'm sorry
that's-
about that. How long ago did that happen?
That was a couple of years back.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You were
actually
walking
had
him every day.
2 dogs, and both of them were killed. Yeah.
How did the other one get killed?
The other one was a Chihuahua, and she was strangled to death. She was in love with the Rottweiler, and he was playing with her, and he got his chain tangled around her neck,
Oh,
and
man.
she died. And it was not long after that he died.
That little one.
He broke loose off his chain, and he ran out, and he got hit by a car.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Right here?
So, right out on this road, yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. For freedom, he got loose off his chain. He's being a
Yeah.
dog. He's being a dog like, we're being people.
That's right. You can
We
go
all
and
have
give
that.
Searching
friends.
around.
We all have that. Yeah, he's doing what God created him to do. He's out there sniffing
Looking around.
wanting to be free.
Right. So that's what they do. People.
Junkyard dog, right? We were just talking about the junkyard dog, and here he
Yeah.
comes, right?
Here he comes.
He's exploring his freedom.
Right. So so people do what they told to do. And it's like, and that's why I feel like that's what I feel like I'm doing is I'm talking to a wall when I try to help my fellow.
Sheep.
Well, I wouldn't call them fellow sheep. I'd
But
call
fellow
them my
sheep.
fellow.
You're trying to pull the dog out of the junkyard, and he doesn't want to go.
That's right. And
Yeah.
these guys all call me the idiot because
What
You
we
know-
were talking about before is I think it's better to lure the dog out rather than to try to force him. You can't. If,
I got a
if the
weird-
dog's afraid of you, you're not gonna lure him out of the junkyard. He's got to come out because he wants to come out. It's like that dog when you saw that dog when he first approached me. He had fear. He had fear of me because he doesn't know who I am.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I have to let him know
You're not going to hurt them.
that I'm not going to hurt him. And, you know, the matrix keeps people under control through fear. But the matrix is beginning to fall apart. The matrix is, there's a glitch in the matrix. And,
There's a glitch in the matrix.
yeah, there's a glitch in the
Perfect
matrix.
way to
and
say
the
it.
finger of God.
The glitch is the internet.
Yeah, and that could be the finger of God, because you know, that's the writing on the wall. This is not what God intended. His children are free, inherently free. We have inalienable rights as spiritual beings. We have inalienable rights. We weren't meant to be controlled by.
Why can't God just let us be spirits instead of putting us in these prisons?
It was our choice. I think that's what God wanted. It was our fault, not His.
I got a question for you.
That we got into this bondage. He did not stick us in Egypt. We went to Egypt by ourselves.
So we chose it.
We chose it. Now, why we chose that, I don't know. But we're here. This whole earth is Egypt. Egypt does, that whole story is a metaphor for earth.
I got a question for you guys about freedom. This doesn't involve God, but here's the thing. On a daily basis, I notice I'm dressing, I'm acting, and I'm conforming with society, not because I want to, because I feel social pressure to. Like, a perfect example is, a lot of times I just like to walk around, maybe with my shirt off, but I notice that's kind of that's looked down upon unless you're at the beach. But I'll conform just because I know there's social pressure to conform. And I'm just wondering in general, what's your thoughts on why are we conforming to social pressure when we don't even see these people and we'll probably never see them again?
It's conditioning.
Yeah, why do we do that?
That's the nice thing about a child. A child will take his clothes off and run around naked and not think twice about it, and not worry about what anybody else is going to think. Think about, look at a little child, and how he's just a young boy or young girl. They'll throw off their clothes and they'll walk around naked, and they'll not give it a thought because they haven't been fully conditioned yet. And they're free. They're still free. They still have that spirit that original spirit before they even came into this incarnation, this earthly, this worldly existence. They still have that. They still have that essence. And that's what I think Jesus meant by the essence of a child. Until you become like this, you will no way enter into the gates of heaven. I think that's what he was talking about. Not acting like a child, but having the spirit of a child.
Childlike, not childish.
You gotta, until you break away from the bounds that hold you to this worldly existence, you're not gonna find your way out of it. You're not gonna come out of the junkyard.
See, you're pretty good about that, Badfinger. When we're out in public, you just act the way you want to act. You don't really.
Yeah, and he's tagged as a rebel.
But they tag you. They get mad at you. You're talking on your phone too loud. They don't like you. They think you're a domestic terrorist.
They see
because you're wearing too much camo fatigues.
I think a lot of people only see the exterior. They don't realize that inside that shell over there, it might come off as, he's got the spirit of. Inside of him, there's the spirit of a child, and people got to look beyond the exteriors of people. And
people judge a lot.
Yeah, it's like me wearing this camo shirt. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, he's going to be a terrorist," But he wears a camouflage jacket, he wears camouflage pants, but that's not me.
According to the FBI, though, that's a sign of a low-level domestic terrorist. Yeah, especially if you're going to
those are the agents of the Matrix, right? Those are the guys that are all storming out of the doors to try to, in their suits. I mean, they're called suits, right? I mean, those are the guys that are so deathly afraid of change. They're the ones, and I feel sorry for them because they're the ones that have been so indoctrinated to the system that God only knows how long it's going to take them to find their way out. Can you imagine? I mean, if they're working diligently for the beast to keep people locked in, how long is it going to be for them to get their way out of here? I mean, they're far, far, far behind that person that can go off into the wilderness and try to find themselves and to try to find relief, some freedom from this world of bondage. I mean, there's a lot of different techniques that keep people in control: economic, social conditioning, and I mean, it's just a big trap, really, isn't it? I liked one of the things in one of your videos where you said, you know, you were out, I think it was at night, and you were talking about the coyotes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
And how free they are,
Domesticated
and how
dogs
how
versus
come in-
coyotes.
Yeah, sure, and how they come into the town. They're wild. They stay out there in the desert, and then they come in. Well, you see that here every night. They come in for water, but they live free out there.
And they watch us, coyote populations increase with human development because they look at what we're doing and they
Maybe
take
they're
advantage.
the watchers, huh? Maybe they're the watchers.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe God sees what's happening in this world through the eyes of everything here. Maybe He watches us through the eyes of that dog that just walked up here.
And in maybe some ways you're kind of doing that as you kind of get on the outskirts of society. You're going to be kind of like that
Maybe through
coyote.
the eyes of God, maybe He sees reality through you and your eyes, or my eyes, and Badfinger's eyes, or maybe He hears my thoughts through the trees, the leaves on the trees. Maybe the vibrations of my consciousness impact every leaf on that lemon tree over there, and it somehow feeds back to the origin. Think about that. The electrifying.
That's deep.
Yeah, really, everything feeds back to the consciousness that created it, and so your thoughts, everything you think and feel, is somehow projected back.